Buongiorno. Mark my words, Mel. Early by Christmas.
Even now, less than a score of years after the World War,
hostilities exist. There is no blinking at the fact.
we shall never surrender!
This is the Militaria Podcast, brought to you by your friends at Queen City Militaria, Wehrmacht Militaria, and SMG War Relics.
Welcome to the Militaria Podcast. I am Josh Doda. I run Queen City Militaria, and I'm joined here by my friends Dante Gambino of SMG War Relics.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And Billy Kramer of WehrmachtMilitaria.com.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry we've taken a leave of absence for a little bit, but we're back and ready to do more.
We did take a little bit of a break, so now that we're back and we're talking to each other, and I remember who you guys are. How have you been?
Well, I'll start the ball rolling. I had the flu 2 weeks ago. I got it, and I was fever for 5 days, totally out of commission, and then that turned into a sinus infection. So now I'm on antibiotics. So we're going into like week 3 or a full 2 weeks of being miserable. So I apologize to all my customers. I've been slacking on getting stuff out timely, but I'm coming around the turn. I'm getting back to normal, and I'm looking forward to business as usual.
Don't forget to apologize to the podcast listeners who failed to see us because you might have been a little sick there.
That's true. We could have done the podcast a little earlier, at least by a week or two. So,
Man, all your adoring fans. So where do you think that it started? Where was what was the first
Who
thing
brought
that
it
got
home?
sick?
oh yeah, it's the 5-year-old. That's who came home with it, and she had her fever started 2 days before mine, and I was like, I'm completely fucked because she's daddy's little girl, so she's all over you when she's sick, So I knew it was coming, and I didn't get my flu shot this year because I just fucking forgot. And normally I'm on top of it, and the 1 year I forgot, I got smashed with it. Honestly, I've had Corona a few times, and that shit was better than this type A flu that's going around. So please, I hope you guys, if you can get your shot, get it. You don't want the flu. It's fucking horrible.
Dude, I actually found coronavirus to be, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I found it to be kind of therapeutic.
What the hell are you talking
Dude,
about?
I just you ever get posted up on the couch for a few days, just watching some movies, taking naps regularly, like not a care in the world. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. No, dude, I binge watched Shogun, the new series that won all the awards. It was fantastic, but it's all in subtitles, so you got to mentally prepare yourself for that. But it was a fantastic production, and there's going to be a new season, I think. So I'm looking forward to that.
There you go, dude. Billy, how about you, bud? What have you been up to?
I'm just healthy as an ox. I don't have no petri dishes affecting me with any. I did get a flu shot, so I got that going for me. I would like to say the only thing I liked about COVID is I look better in the mirror. When I was naked, I was like, wow, I lost 10 pounds.
Yeah.
There you go, dude.
Sure.
It's a very easy diet.
Yeah, 100%, man. Just it goes right through it. So nothing's really new with me, man. Just excited to do the podcast again and get back in the routine of things. And we got a lot of shit coming up next couple of weeks. Obviously, the SOS. So getting ready for that, man.
Yeah, dude, the SOS. I'm pretty excited, and it'll be nice to see everybody. It'll be nice to see you guys, and it'll be nice to have a beer together. So, Bill, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, just my classic go-to, just Miller Lite in a can. I think that's my podcast beer of choice would be the ML in a can.
I always like that it's specified what it's in, because there have been times where it's been in a mason jar.
Oh, the mason jar.
The mason jar era was crazy.
I don't like Miller. I don't like to drink beer out of a bottle. It's just not, it's, I like the white mouth can. It's just who I am as a person,
I get it, dude. Dante, what are you drinking over there?
Well, since I'm on the mend, I'm staying away from alcohol. So I'm just drinking a little Arizona mucho mango, the classic 99-cent out of the cooler.
That's nuts, dude.
Dude,
what are you going to go play hacky sack in the 7-Eleven parking lot after this?
Yeah, dude, with my CD Walkman. Absolutely, man. Dude.
Can
you believe there's still 99 cents?
Don't tell any teachers.
We're talking about this drink. It's been 99 cents for 20 years. And it's amazing that it's still 99
cents. You ever see those rogue stories on the internet, though, where people are like, I just got rang up for an Arizona iced tea, $3.29, and it says 99 cents on the can?
Yeah, bullshit. You
don't think it's real? It's got to happen somewhere.
Maybe. I don't know.
I've also heard the owners have specifically lost profits to keep it that way. And good for them,
Got to support it, dude.
What are you drinking there, Josh?
Oh, dude, I got a little Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA.
I had a whole case of Voodoo Ranger. Somebody gave it to me, and I couldn't give it away.
I picked it up because I like the cover art, and the beer is fine.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fine.
okay. It's an easy drinking IPA. It's not too bad.
It's not bad. I know you guys hate IPAs, but
What else is new with you, Josh, besides the beer?
dude, what's new with me? I'll tell you. I shaved my beard. Operation Mustache is in full effect, as you can probably tell from looking at my face right now. It's very weird.
It's getting very serious.
Yeah, it is getting really serious. It's about 6 months of mustache growth at this point. It's quite a lot of dedication, and so I can't really, I can't change horses midstream, as it were. So now I'm dedicated to it, and I'm like, all right, for the rest of the month, this is what we're doing at the very least. But yeah, I don't know. Man, I was working some extra hours at work recently, staying busy. I made some money, and I spent some money, and found this really cool thing that I'd like to show you guys, actually. All right, so guys, the other day I'm at the antique store in Manchester, New Hampshire. There's this place on Elm Street. It's called Antiques on Elm. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's a pretty big shop, so you can spend a while in there. And as I'm rummaging around, I find this box. You may have seen footlocker like this in the past. Like a lot, as soon as I posted this online, I got a message from Kyle Kellner because he has a similar one that, I was unaware that it was such a phenomenon. But this is the prior owner of this is obviously James Marvel from Hollis, New Hampshire. And I think, it's cool on its own. It's got some hand painted, like his name and his location and the insignia up there. But the coolest thing to me is, he even put the pinups on the inside of the lid. It was a really cool find.
Well, it's the Aleutian Islands. It's, American home front. That's incredible stuff with the ad insignia on it.
Dude, absolutely. It's funny, like I didn't know a whole lot about it before finding this, and that's on me. But after Googling it, I was like, holy shit, this is like kind of a rare thing to just encounter. You know what I mean? Like the odds of you finding something from the Alaskan Defense Command is slim to none most of the time. So it was really cool little local antique store find. You can see in this picture some of the more like, that's hand painted on there. It's all uneven. There's like thicker and thinner paint areas of it. It's really cool. Shows some honest wear.
Can we see the ladies a little better, please?
Yeah, dude. He's an equal opportunity employer here. Looks like he was down with blondes and brunettes. Really
awesome. Very iconic of the era. Lots of skin too.
Funny. Kyle showed me one and his had more pinups on it. I almost felt like when I saw this, I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And then I looked at Kyle's and I was like, damn, he's got more bitches.
I almost bought his, but I thought they were going to be hand painted, and I don't think yours are either. I think that obviously the top is hand painted rather. The exterior of the boxes, but again, it's a great find, man, and it's just so awesome. Something you'll keep forever, I'm sure. And it stores cool stuff. You can put a lot of cool stuff in there.
Well, yeah, I've been using some New Hampshire stuff. I've been using it for storage for some of my New Hampshire stuff. It is pretty cool. I looked the guy up online. From what I can find out, he lived his whole life in Hollis, or at least most of it. He was buried there as well. He passed away in like 1987. So by the time that he was serving, he wasn't like a kid. You know what I mean? I can't remember what year he was born, but it was prior to 1910. So, now I'm toying with the idea. Should I go visit his grave? Should I bring the box to his grave and be like, hey, I don't know. Would you?
I would not, but I'm not superstitious like that. So
it's also cool though if you had the box which has his name by his headstone, which obviously would have his name. I think that's kind of a cool thing, actually, in my opinion.
Well, see, I'm glad you're not thinking it's weird, because that's how I felt. I was like, if I bring it over there and it's like, this is clearly this guy's, personal belonging, and here it is with his headstone in the town that is written on the box. Like, I don't know, to me it almost completes a story. But
can you imagine though being in your grave and seeing this giant walk up with this this box and why does this guy have this belonging of mine, and why is he so tall, and what's with long fish?
I keep thinking about how many times has it changed hands since the guy died, because clearly there was not much going on in terms of next of kin. And I would assume if that was grandpa's footlocker, you would keep it. It's it's super cool. Yeah. So I don't know, but it's a fun little local find, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I love my New Hampshire stuff. So that's kind of my big find of 2025 so far, about a month in.
Good deal. Has anyone else found anything exciting recently?
Oh, I may have uncovered a secret artifact that's lesser known in the collecting community.
Oh, do
A
tell.
secret artifact.
Secret artifact. Yeah, yeah. So about, I don't know, 2 months ago, I get a call from, was it a Virginia number? Can't remember exactly where, but the guy picks up the phone, or I pick the phone up and I talk to him, and he's got a heavy German accent, and his name is Johannes. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about you guys, but I don't get a lot of phone calls from
Germans. No.
Germans.
I can count on one hand the amount of times that Johannes has called me. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm like, wow, let me listen to what this guy's got to say, because this could be interesting. So he's like, yeah, my dad was in the war. And I'm like, well, fuck, he must be German, right? Because you're fucking German. So I'm like, this is all right, go on. So he starts talking to me about all his stuff, and his dad did this and did that. And basically, long story short is I was able to create a nice relationship with this man, and he felt comfortable finally, after a long time, liquidating his family heirlooms and his assets of his father, who ended up as a major in the general staff on the Eastern Front. So there was a lot of cool stuff in there. Some cool visors and great insignia. Unfortunately, a lot of the uniforms were stripped down because he had needed to use them for day-to-day work or what have you. So that, they just ripped all the insignia off the jackets,
Sure.
and they used it just, as a regular jacket going around town, or for whatever job he had after the war, because he did survive the war. This gentleman emigrated to the United States in 70 something, he said. So anyways, out of all the stuff, at one point he finally says, he goes, I have this unusual tunic, this unusual jacket. And I'm like, all right, send me a picture. He sends me a picture of this fucking pink tunic. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. And he goes, well, it's my father's riding jacket. And I had no idea about this at all. I don't consider myself a uniform expert by any stretch of the imagination. And when I saw this, I was like, I have no clue what it's worth. Go ahead.
It looks like something like it was white, like a summer jacket was washed with something red.
Yeah.
It's such an unusual color. Like, it's like, well, when you showed it to me, I had no clue what it was.
It looks
well,
washed.
guys, I have a picture. Let me cut in real quick.
Because when you see this, you're going to say, wow, is that washed out? And it's not washed out. It is actually the original color. And as soon as Josh gets his lazy ass to bring up the pictures, we'll be in business.
It's about time.
It's about time, man.
Incredible.
All right. So here it is. And you're going to notice a couple of things about it right off the bat. It's definitely privately tailored. You're going to notice that there's 3 push snaps where the breast eagle should be. Yep. And it also has push snaps underneath the arms on both sides. There we go. 6 on each side. And let's back out to the main picture, Josh. The pockets at the bottom are false. There's nothing there. They're just buttons. Yep, just a flap. And you'll notice also there's no other insignia. There's no place really for boards or collar tabs. There was nothing. Yeah, there was nothing else ever put on this. But the buttons are military buttons. It's in an early style, pre World War II style, and it's just got a really impressive looking cut to it. So this gentleman, Johannes, had told me that his father used to use this during his riding competitions, and in these competitions he would ride with representing his military regiment. And in these competitions, there was also professional riders, private professional riders. So there would be different regiments and professionals in these competitions that were, I guess there was a couple of big ones that were going on. And he used to wear this. And I was like, well, why is it pink? And he said, well, that's the color Dad always had. And that was his regiment color. So I'm thinking, regiment color, like, why? They had different colors for different regiments. Like, this is just mind boggling to me. So knowing all this information, I wanted more information, obviously. And I couldn't find anything in any of my reference books on it. Put it on the WAF and just for review. Hey, look, something neat. That's literally what I called it. The title was just something neat. And immediately people started chiming in, and somebody had recognized it in I think it was one of Angolia's books. And sure as shit, he had a list in one of Angolia's books of different colors, a sketch of the tunic, not an actual picture, but like a drawing of it. And in that color or similar color, and Regiment 11 was listed as pink. And then there was, Regiment 12, 13, whatever. And they were all different colors, like cornflower blue.
Dude, that's amazing.
Gray, all these different shades of grays and reds and even yellows and maybe orange. I'm not sure, but there was a whole ton of different colors that you could wear depending on what your unit was. And those colors would distinguish the units for the judges so that they knew who was who. And, it was like your group or your competition group. So, that's Regiment 11 in pink, like they're ready to go. And then because they're judging and stuff during the competitions, but they would also have, if you look at this photo here, this is not, this is not the guy. This is another stock photo that someone on the WAF was kind enough to share with us. But you notice his armbands on both sides. This guy's got a black armband on each side of his riding tunic. And that coincides with the 6 buttons, the 6 push snaps on each side, on each arm. So that's what those snaps are for. So that's something
amazing, dude.
I've never seen before and totally unique to a riding jacket. Herman Hoffman was the tailor, apparently. Notice the date here, 1939. This is the guy's name, last name Rohan. His full name was Rudolph Rohan. And 1939 was when this was either commissioned or made or what have you.
Yeah, in June before the war.
Yeah, so it was right before the war, and that happened to be the same time when there was a big riding competition. And apparently, these tunics were made for this specific competition, and they would have, if the war hadn't started, these tunics would have been more popular, and other units would have been competing, and the whole thing would have gotten bigger, and the uniforms would have been more popular. So because the war started right in 1939, they're like, well, we don't have time for these competitions. You guys got to go fight. And they're all getting reassigned and moved all over the place. The competitions kind of faded away, and that was the last we heard about the tunics. So this is probably the only pink one in existence. I would say that pretty confidently. I know there's other ones in existence. There's white ones, of course, we see pictures of. Bring up the other pictures of this guy too, Josh, if you don't mind. All right, so this is directly from the family as well. This is actually good old Rudy Rohan with his white riding tunic. Now, this would have been the riding tunic that predated the 1939 one, the pink one that we're looking at. You'll notice there's shoulder boards on this one. So this was kind of, I guess, your more standard riding tunic that he would have. And I asked the son what happened to the white one, and it's been lost to time. He doesn't think it made it to the end of the war. He doesn't know what happened to it. So unfortunately, that's gone. And that's actually his brother, by the way. So what else do we have there, Josh? Notice the large brassard. So that probably would have had the same snaps too, though. What other pictures we got?
This was an equestrian family then, huh?
Yeah, they they were into riding. Okay, I mean that's the bottom line. But he was I guess a privileged guy. He was enrolled in officer candidate school early on, so he probably came from old money or old status to get into those programs super early. This picture here is him after he got promoted to a major, and then subsequently later on transferred into the general staff, which we have his general staff visor as well. I'll be bringing that to the SOS to show off. Here's his medal grouping. The son wanted to hold on to this stuff, and rightfully so. This was really his connection to his father. So he wanted to hold on to this little grouping, which is a fantastic little assortment there. And hopefully, I'll still be around, and this guy will want to give it to me when he's ready to. So
interesting. He's got the Ostvolk Eastern Peoples decoration there, and then he's also got the Croatian. That's really cool.
The son sent me a timeline, and half of his military career was on the Eastern Front. So after he participated in the invasion of France, and then he got pretty much relocated right away to the east after France had fallen. I don't think he was involved in Poland, but he did start. He was basically in Ukraine, and he ended up being in command of a Cossack regiment, cavalry regiment. So this guy was all over the place. So
That's amazing.
The Eastern People's stuff is perfectly suited to what he did.
Well, and I had my eye on that Croatian award too, Billy. You have good taste, but it's rare to see that show up in groupings, man.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. What other pictures do we have in there?
Well, I got some visors.
Well, this is the cavalry visor. So I've been in discussion with John Hodgson. Him and Tim Curley want to put this uniform in their new book. It'll be a late edition, but I think we can squeeze it in there. They're really interested in putting it in the book. And so I showed him pictures of this visor. I told him, I was like, I don't think this was the visor he would have worn. Not to mention, we're talking about a time span between when he was promoted and moved to general staff of like 4 or 5 years. So the chances that he had the same exact visor when he was riding all the way up through now are probably slim to none. But there's some conversation of basically that they were supposed to be using some type of a crusher during competitions or a similar unreinforced brim. So this probably wasn't it, but you never know. They probably would have just wore whatever half the time. And, regulations were kind of a secondary thing, especially later on. But awesome.
It's really interesting to think that the information is even out there about like what the regulations for uniform wear would be during riding competitions.
It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, it's there, and people have dug up information. That's why the WAF is fantastic. People have these old files and old newspaper clippings and things that talk about that kind of stuff. So it's fantastic. What else? You got a picture of the general staff visor. Yeah, this is a screamer, man. This thing is just gorgeous. So this was probably his last visor he ever owned. He was promoted into the general staff as a major. And then that was it. The war ended. So he was only in the general staff for, I think, like 6 months or something. Yeah, go ahead, Billy.
I love the variant, chin cord, the Celion against the bullion wreath. That's a really cool like contrast, and you don't see that chin cord is actually very rare for that hat. And I agree, it's later. So it tops your cap. Love the saddle shape of it. That thing, like you said, it's a screamer. That's fantastic, man.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's another way to illustrate the point too, that people will see stuff that looks really nice and say, oh, it looks too good to be true. Like this thing, at least from this photo, looks like it's in near mint condition. Like, don't go off the idea that because something looks good, it can't be original.
Right. Well, I mean, imagine this thing survived the war. His father survived the war. Then it survived the transfer from Germany, moving the whole family over to America at some point in the 70s. And all this stuff was kept in almost perfect condition. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, and that's, the old saying, condition does not determine, authenticity or originality, right? I mean, I know King Tut's tomb has been cleaned up a little bit, but I don't know if you guys know this. It's like 3,000 years old and it looks brand new. So yes, it's something that's 80 years old. Can it be perfect? Yeah, because like you said, the war ended and this was kept safe in a cedar chest after the war to keep the bugs away. And yeah, absolutely. It's original and yet in fantastic condition. I believe the cap eagle is zinc as well, which and so is the cockade. So again, later period construction, fantastic saddle shape. That is an awesome hat.
Yeah, it's super cool stuff. I'm excited to have it. I'm going to be keeping the pink tunic for myself. People were really adamant. They're like, well, you should try to keep it all together. And unfortunately, because all the uniforms were stripped down and some of the other things had mothing problems, it just didn't make sense to try to keep it all together. I do have a business to run, so I do have to think about that. But that pink tunic is a super awesome piece. So I'm going to keep that. It's going to be going into John and Tim's newest book on I think it's lightweight summer tunics or something like that they're coming out with. So that's going to be on the shelves soon as they're done with all the publishing. And then also I was contacted by a Italian magazine called Militaria Magazine Uniformi, or maybe it's just Uniformi. I'm not familiar with it, but they're going to
I'm walking here weekly.
Yeah, whatever it's called. But a gentleman called me. They want to do a bit on it. So it's going to be in an international magazine as well. And
it's some exposure.
Yeah, so it's cool, man. It's nice to have something like that.
That's awesome, dude.
And then what's kind of even cooler is that Billy just happened to have an eagle that kind of lines up with this. You want to talk about it?
So years ago, it was at an SOS, coincidentally. I'm walking past Ron Richter's table. Kyle and I are walking around, and I see this odd pink eagle. And I'm like, and Ron's just the nicest, most approachable guy. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, I don't know. And Ron, you know, he's got to be in his 80s. He's got to have seen more stuff than all three of us put together and then some. So for him to say he didn't know, I'm like, well, what do you want for it? I'm like, you know, can I buy it and keep it? He's like, you know what? Take it. So he gave this to me for free. It is obviously an Army pattern eagle. I don't know if you can tell, but it's pink. And we had another photo of a different rider wearing a different, I don't know if it was a pink jacket, a period photo, but he has almost what looks like a metal eagle or a rigid eagle. Now Dante's has the cloth, you know, the snaps. So and you have the other uniforms that had boards and some didn't. So there's variations between all these uniforms. I don't know if this eagle is for a pink jacket like Dante's, but I have no explanation for why it's pink and what it's for. It's definitely
it's fantastic just to think about the connection possibilities, and if this could have been a short run made for Regiment 11 specifically, which would be
100%.
insane that they would even do that. But stranger things have happened. Or was this some kind of a pink eagle made for something else entirely different that we don't know?
Right. And then again, there's so many variations. And, you know, that's the cool thing about this hobby is that every day you find more things that you have never seen before. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't even know that existed. Again, when you showed me that pink jacket, I'm like, well, it went through the wrong washing machine because I was an idiot and had no clue what it was. Again, I got this eagle for free. I would like to give it to you, man. You know, pay it forward. That's Ron. And Ron invited me to his home and showed me his collection. The man is full of knowledge.
Man, that's a lot of helmets, dog.
He does have a lot of helmets. But again, for him to not know what that eagle is, and then for us to see a pink jacket that no one knew what it was, really, I mean, there's only a few select people who've even seen one or were able to identify it. That's kind of a cool anomaly of like, well, I have a pink eagle, and that jacket's missing a pink eagle. So,
yeah, no, and I appreciate the generosity because that's one of those things that if you had to go hunt for a pink eagle because somewhere we found out in some photograph that this tunic should have had a pink eagle on it, you would never be able to find one, right? It would be impossible. So fantastic.
I've never seen so many helmets in one photo, dude. This guy must have the safest head ever.
This was one of his 3 rooms of helmets, but you can't. It just goes on and, dude, it's insane. And he the nicest guy. Ron Richter is a fantastic gentleman in the hobby, and you can look at the smile on his face. You can see he is a really cool guy. So again, that was a really cool trip down to St. Louis. You know, he's one of the old cats in St. Louis that, the gateway to the Midwest, man. There was a ton of stuff that, came back to that area. So it was an awesome hub to buy back in the day. And obviously because of his age, he was one of the, founding fathers of this great hobby, and he was buying up a lot of stuff. So yeah, he has 3 rooms of helmets. That's by far the most impressive room. And there is uniforms, and we could go on and on about Ron and his collection. But again, he was very generous, and he gave me that eagle, and I would like to give it to Dante. And who knows, it might have found its forever home. And that thing, when you think about that, those pieces have been all over the world, and to reunite them potentially, if they did know each other in past life, in my opinion, is kind of a cool thing, and it all ties
absolutely
together, so
yeah, we don't even know they could have been made after in anticipation of, well, we're going to continue these events, and we need Regiment 11 needs to have pink eagles, and Regiment 13 needs blue eagles. Like, who knows what else is out there?
Absolutely.
Good
Remarkable stuff, guys. Bill, you brought up a point, which is, we always encounter stuff that we've never seen before. Like, I've seen 1,000 War Merit Crosses. I'm sure you guys see them and you've grown at them at this point. But every once in a while, you find your pink tunic. You find your Alaskan Defense Command box, right? And
it can go both ways. There's 2 sides of the coin. There's original stuff that we've never seen before. It's like, wow, I had no clue that even existed. And I've handled a lot of stuff, and Dante and you have too. It's just cool that it's always evolving. We're always learning. It's not, the hobby never gets boring because you're always finding out new stuff and learning more. And again, while it's 80 years ago, we're still finding new things.
Okay. So you brought up a cool thing then, which is, and I have the pictures. I'm ready to talk about them. Let's talk about stuff that you may have, quote unquote, never seen before. Stuff that people might come across at a show that is complete bullshit.
So this is fun because these are emails. Can you start with the ammo crate? This is an email I got last week.
The ammo crate.
Yeah, right there on the bottom right. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the watch is my favorite one, though.
We'll get there. Oh, they're all good. They're all good. I explained to the individual that while the ammo crate itself is real, it's totally real. Somebody found a huge room of these after the war and was like, how can I get more money out of these? And I use the phrase pimping. What they did is they pimped it and tried to make it better so it was worth more money. So what they did is they added a fake fantasy stencil that never had any business being on that crate because there was an Italian-German connection during the war. So that's the story. Evaluate the item, not the story, right? And this guy sends me this, and I was like, hey, man, listen, these are known. We all know about these. They're not real. I'm sorry. I'm really not interested. And I was very polite. And instead of being like, hey, no big deal, this guy was a total fucking asshole. And he's like, you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to get $800 for this, and you're a crook. And it's like, bud, if it were real, I'm in the business to buy things off of you and sell it for more money. So I would have made you an offer. Like, that's just common sense. But okay, guy, and he's like, I've seen these in period photos. And I was like, oh, okay. Can you show me that period photo? And then he was like, well, it's not my job to educate you. And it's like, because you can't.
Yeah, do your own research, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry for not knowing what exactly I'm looking at. Again, just something that is, in theory, like it's original, but it was enhanced falsely and created a fantasy item to sell to the open market. And unfortunately, people are gullible.
Absolutely. Well, it's the same phenomenon that we see too when you see overstamping on things, people adding stamps to armbands and documents. It's just your pimping is a great term for it. I got to ask though, real quick, were you interested in buying it?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not
I just
at all.
got
And then the guy, insulted me and told me I didn't know. And it's, again, man, like if it was worth anything, I would buy it from you, sir, and try to flip it for a profit. That's what I do for a living. That's how I feed myself. And, I'm in this business to make a living. So, okay, sorry, you don't want to take my opinion, but I was trying
what a bastard.
I was trying to give him good advice. Can we please look at the spoons now?
I'm just going to say that guy's not a friend of the show.
So the previous, this is another thing that, like this guy's email was like, oh, I was at an antique store in Poland, and immediately it's like, oh my God.
Oh God, yeah.
And he's like, oh, and they showed me something that was under the table that they don't show anyone else. And I got these LAH engraved SS spoons. And it's like, dude, how fucking stupid are you? Like, can you imagine the Allies land at Normandy and they're talking to this SS regiment, like, hey, we need to go defend the beach. And he's like, sorry, I'm engraving my spoons. There's no way I can go stop the invasion. I've got spoons to engrave to put in my...
Hey, look, don't bother me during spoon time. It's spoon hours.
The thought process behind why this would exist is just absurd. And I mean, again, LSSAH. I mean,
I think
it's hilarious.
From a very rudimentary understanding, I could see it. If you've seen Inglorious Bastards and you've seen like SS men just in like full dress, like tuxedo uniforms and shit, like you're like, yeah, okay, sure, they probably had a bunch of special spoons. But yeah, it doesn't really translate or make any sense when you've been collecting for, I don't know.
Inglorious Bastards, great, exact, perfect reference. But again, that's Hollywood. That's all like, fantasy and it's pretend. So I totally get your thought track. It's just, it's absurd. It's in its own right.
Dude, people got the wrong scam going for Poland too. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag here, but the real scam is you go over there and you buy the communist stuff that they think is worthless, and then you can still sell it for 4 times the price over here. So like the German stuff is all fake. Don't even worry about that. They'll sell you the, Fallschirmjäger helmet for $200. It's all garbage. But like buy the cheap shit and then just sell it for 4 times markup and you're doing well.
And I'm sure the guy spent decent money on this. I'm sure he got taken for a few €100s over there. I mean, that wouldn't have been cheap. But, he goes into this shop and they see him coming a mile away. He's an American with money in his pocket in an antique shop. Like they know who they're talking to. And I'm sure they're the one who suggested, like, oh, do you want to see something I don't put out? And it writes itself, man. So unfortunately, they got one over this guy. What else you got in this folder, bud?
Dude, there's so much stuff in here. Let's start with this one. It's an eBay classic. Maybe not in this design.
Dante's seen these. I'm sure people have offered.
Oh yeah, this is your classic. I probably get this offered to me a few times a year. Every it's just such a common, just mocked up. They just pop the roundel out and they fucking replace it with one of those silly dials, and they put these in a bunch of different watches too. So they're just all, you see something like this, just throw it in the garbage. Like, don't even waste your time.
Always the double
SS
shields.
details. Yeah.
But also SS shields. There's other different roundels that are inside of the, different dial faces or whatever you want to call it. There's all different ones that you can find, and they're all junk.
The watch itself is totally real. It's an original watch, but they found a $5 watch and they found a $5 fake decal and put it on that watch, and now that watch is worth $500.
Yeah,
and this is, people make money off deceiving other folks, and when you see these, we're a little more
what I don't understand is we do this for a living, so it's our job to research what we don't know if we didn't know. But do people not know how to use Google? Like, I don't understand like these, because half the people that come to me with this kind of stuff that argue with me just like they argue with you, Billy, I'm just like, just Google it. You think it's real, just Google it. It doesn't come up on any reputable websites. It's all over like crappy auction websites, like
worthpoint.com special right there.
Oh my God.
It's absolutely worth point. And it's always one of these two. It's always a Del Bonna or something like that. You'll notice like it's always, at least it's got the two shields, whether it's SS or double party or whatever the case, there's always two shields. And it's always a Swiss watch, like a cheap Swiss watch from the 30s.
I've seen them on alarm clocks too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
the alarm clock design.
Yeah. Yep, it's the same crap. I think they're even on Kriegsmarine clocks too, aren't they? They may be. I've seen humped up versions.
But they're getting creative, and this relates to never seeing shit before. They're just going to come out with something else tomorrow, to fool the masses, and it's on both sides. There's original stuff that we've never seen before, and then there's garbage like this of like, what are they going to come up with next?
Yeah, and just to be clear, this is pure fantasy. This never existed. Like
right.
You'll see this design, like we said, on different clock faces of different sizes, where you can, maybe it's a tabletop clock, maybe it is a wristwatch. It's always garbage.
Pay no mind. What do we got next?
Let's talk about something that shows up on eBay a lot. How about the rings?
Oh, the rings of death. Jesus Christ.
I could see some of these being. You could fool somebody with a few of these. I could see it, but
I'm going to tell you my perspective. I don't waste time with any rings, and even SS rings, they're so faked that it's not worth my time, because the real ones, people already know what they're worth, and there's never any room for me to make money on, right? These ones, it's not even worth trying to figure out if they're real, because 99.9% of them are fake. So even if you took a stab at one, the chances that you've got a real one, they're just not, it's almost impossible. So this is all biker fantasy nut crap.
There are some exceptions to the rule, because canteen rings for things like the West Wall, where it's
canteen
like cut
rings,
glass,
yes.
stuff like that.
Is different too with that. If you get it on a good estate, that's different. But again, when you find this stuff, this is flea market garbage.
And those are usually very simple designs. They're not elaborate like this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, especially where this is calling out specific, like volunteer divisions or what have you. It wouldn't happen. But what else I see in this is cufflinks. And
there is cufflinks there. Yeah.
It's interesting how many things find a niche in the Militaria community that are also just like luxurious men's accessories.
Yeah. Well, especially this one with the sig runes. Those ones are notorious fake that's floating around, and they'll be made a lot of times out of high grade materials too. You'll find them in silver, and you may even find them in gold. But I think that pattern does exist somewhere, but the chances of you finding a real set are almost impossible.
Yeah.
Well, and then, here's the other issue with this stuff is a lot of these were blanks. And so you will find them with jeweler's marks that are, silver content that was common in early 1900s German jewelry. Because we use a like 975 in the United States, I'm pretty sure, for a sterling silver. And I think over there you have a lower content as we go back.
800 was like one of your standards. Yeah, 800.
800, 900, 935. Yeah.
And so you'll see rings that have the proper silver content marking for the proper time period but it's just a blank that has then been modified to be like, oh wow, crazy Nazi stuff. And that's where the markup hits.
Another thing, I have seen these rings RZM marked, and I've had people like say, well, it can't be fake, it's RZM marked. And it's like, why would that be a government production object? Like, think about what you're saying to me. Like, it's the absurdity of it. Again, can we move on? Is there cigarette cases? Because that's another thing.
Dude, cigarette cases. We're talking again about luxurious men's accessories.
I agree. It's a great correlation you made. Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, the classic Africa Core fake logo down here. Oh,
dude,
man.
that thing is on everything, and I get offered something with that logo at least once a month.
We got all the hits here, Bill. This is a great picture. I mean, some of them, I'll tell you, I wouldn't be upset about something like the DRA badge lighter. I think that's like the least offensive out of everything. I'd be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll carry the DRA badge lighter, dude. I'll light a Camel Crush with that. But some of this stuff.
I saw an SS one that the Totenkopf was misspelled with a U, so it said Totenkopf. And
man,
like you guys are not even trying to get it right.
That's the Totenkopf after they have dinner at the local Mexican place, dude. The Totenkopf.
That's a clever joke, Josh. That was good. How was your Taco Bell?
Thank you.
By the way.
Oh, dude, the Taco Bell, you had your doubts. Everybody has their suspicions about Taco Bell and how it'll impact your GI tract, but I was actually doing okay. I would like to call out the SSFM badge here because this is a really common like fake design that we see. You see the stick pins out there. You'll see some enamel pins that are just standard lapel pins. But man, what like a textbook thing that I would expect to see soldered to a run-of-the-mill cigarette case.
The last thing I would like to show people is definitely the armbands, the capo armbands from Auschwitz. And again, we get these emails all the time of like, hey, look what I found. And it's like, dude, come on, man. And people, unfortunately, dude, I've seen auctions where people spend stupid money on this shit. It's unfortunate that people are gullible and think that something like this wouldn't be a thing, or let alone it survived the war.
Well, absolutely. And dude, the absolute funny thing about this that you'll notice is if you go to the SOS this year, if you go to the Max, if you go to any of the shows, is that the guys that have these on the table have 50 of them.
Yeah.
And they're not selling them for fake, quote unquote, fake or fantasy prices. Like they're selling them for $150, $275. I mean, they probably would go up higher than that depending on how hard the sell is. But when you're looking at this, it's like, okay, so I'm supposed to believe this is this like, almost comically Holocaust sort of item. It's something that didn't exist, obviously, but if somebody was trying to conjure up like a caricature of what the Holocaust was, this is what they would do. And for that to be sold to you for $300 when there's 25 other ones on the table should be a really big indicator right away. Like, this is tea-stained cloth. This is artificially aged. It's a fantasy thing. Don't waste your fucking money on it.
It's a great point. Can we talk about the holy grail of fantasy garbage at the SOS and it shows? Is there the Edelweiss toilet? Oh my God, here it is. I think that room is the SOS, or I think it is, or maybe it's Wilmington. No, I think it's the SOS.
Oh man, dude,
this is a fan favorite. I mean, this has been circulating around for years now. Everyone knows who one of the original guys that sold them is. But you can't talk about fantasy items without talking about Edelweiss toilet paper to wipe your ass.
Was this, I don't want to say a name if we're not supposed to say it, but was this a Snyder item?
No, this is no. The guy's
okay.
Still,
all right. We don't have to get into it.
If you go to the show and you're going to the SOS, and I would like to talk about the SOS here in a minute because it's a cool thing. We're all going. If you see this in the room, we want to know about it. Take a photo, have the seller hold it in his hand. If you can get that photo
with a straight face,
I'll put it on the podcast. I give you my word. So keep your eyes open for this. The Edelweiss toilet paper. I got to roll. I mean, it's single ply. It's not that good.
It's a good point though, dude. Thank you for highlighting this stuff because it's so exotic compared to what you usually see, and also affordable. And I think that like those two things aren't always completely removed from each other, but it might be a bit of a red flag if you're at the show and you see the Nazi toilet paper for like $25-$30 a roll and you're like, oh man, like no, it's not legit. Like save your $30.
So, Bill, we're talking about the SOS, and the do's and don'ts were things we wanted to kind of bring up here. And so I'll lead off with do wear walking shoes and comfortable shoes, because you're going to be walking your ass off, and it's almost impossible to walk the whole show in one day. So if you're going to budget to go there to make the trip, you really want to have a 2-day pass. And you want that pass to be probably Friday and Saturday and knock out the whole show. There is nothing going on Sundays. It's dealer close up. Most dealers are already gone by Sunday. So don't expect to do, even if you're an OVS member and they let you in, don't expect to do anything on Sunday. Yep.
Let's not discriminate. If you're not going to wear your walking shoes because you're not walking, charge your fucking scooter, okay? Because there's so many times when the scooter dies in the aisle, and it's like, please, dude, people are trying to walk around you here. Like, can you at least pull over to the side and put your hazards on?
Dude,
Yes.
it's important to denote, though, that, like, it's tempting to wear your most stylish shoes to the SOS because it's a fashion show, as you'll see when you're there. And you'll see a lot of guys wearing some stuff that you're like, wow, that's really some stepping out clothes. This guy, he's putting on the Ritz for the SOS.
The reenactors and the Scottish bagpipe guy. Yeah.
But if you're not doing that, dress comfortable.
Dress comfortable, bring a backpack, bring a bottle of water. The food there is nothing to write home about. So be prepared to leave and go get some better food. What else? Etiquette.
I don't know if
be
it's
in the
allowed.
middle of the aisle. Just don't be in the middle of the aisle. I fucking hate that. Just people in the middle of the fucking aisle.
You said bring a water. I don't know if it's allowed, but I'm going to say it anyway. Bring a couple nips. Bring a couple little bottles of fucking liquor because you're going to need it. You pick up a Pepsi from the fucking concession stand and you're walking around for another 3 or 4 hours. Let's be honest, pal. You're going to want to feel a little loose. And it's going to make it easier to spend money, which we all love. So, hey, don't get in trouble, but you heard it from me first. Grease the gears up a little bit.
Can you show the scope of how big and awesome this show is, please? Like, I mean, again, I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to get there. And I don't usually get excited for shows, but this year, maybe it's a little different.
I have a few pictures. I can't really illustrate the entire scope, but you can see how far. Of course. Well, this picture makes a return because that's Tom. That's a friend of the show.
Yeah.
Well, you can see the length of one aisle. So my tables are at the end of the aisle R. So all the way up at the front that's the beginning of the aisle. So that's a long run. And then it's twice as wide as it is deep, right? Would you say maybe 3 times?
It goes A through Z and then extends after Z,
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, it's so big that dealers drive their cars in there to set up. So it's a big show.
It absolutely is. And that brings me to my next point for the show, which is in your backpack that you're bringing with your nips and your water, bring deodorant.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of stinky dudes at the show and there's already enough stinky items. And that's just a lot of funk all in one room combining. And we just, hey, make it easier on yourself. Make it easier on everybody else. Come on, bring some deodorant with you, brother.
Yeah, bring some deodorant. Wash yourself in the morning if you're a fucking stinky person. Like, do us all a favor. Wash your balls and your ass. And if you're one of these people,
really get in there.
You get in. I mean, get in there, scrub it.
Get the loofah out.
Get the loofah. Do whatever you got to do. But also, if you're one of these freaking fat bastards who's got to have 5 meals a day, all right, skip breakfast. Do us all a favor. Nobody wants to be walking down the aisle followed by someone with egg and cheese farts. All right. It's disgusting. You're a gross human being.
The farts are pretty tough.
You want to talk about the bathroom situation after a little bit?
Oh, the bathroom.
After 2 or 3 days, that's pretty good. Yeah.
It's a nightmare. But you know what? To Dante's point, skip breakfast because you got to be light on your feet to go get those deals, brother. What are you thinking? Eating a friggin', biscuits and gravy for breakfast. You got to be out there hustling.
Yeah, dude. You don't want to be having bubble guts and trying to take a shit in the public restroom over there. It's disgusting.
Oh my God. The amount of times, bro. I can't even forget. The old Mac show was the worst for that. I'm telling you, because the bathrooms are right in the middle of the whole room. So if you were having a hard morning, which, we go out, we do a little party and sometimes you have a tough morning. You're just right in the middle of the hall. Everybody knows it was you.
Oh, and you know what you could do? A courteous thing would be to give the guy that's in the restroom cleaning up. He's there like every time. Give him $1 once in a while.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, those guys.
I mean, Jesus Christ, those guys got to stand there with your 70-year-old freaking asshole falling out. and clean up after you. Give them a freaking $1 or $5 once in a while. Be nice.
Well, so we've covered some pretty important stuff, which I think the most important thing again is just don't be stinky. Take it, like Dante said, take a shower first. It's like taking a shower before you get on an airplane, dude. It's a life-changing experience. You're gonna feel so fresh. But what else do we got? Dante, you brought up something earlier. Don't spend all your money in one place.
Yeah, don't spend your money in one place. Okay, everybody knows there's those premium vendors up front, right, with the real nice stuff. But what happens right after those premium vendors? There's a couple of shysters there, right? And if you are not you're just like, oh my God, look at this, blah, and you spend freaking $1,200 on a helmet that you could have had down the row for $800. Walk the show, but don't wait on something if it's the only one and it's the best one you've seen and it's within your budget. Do not wait, buy it, because you will definitely come back and say, fuck, I missed it.
I agree with that to an extent. Like I get what you're saying, don't blow your load early, but at the same time, there's a flip side of that, because I've had so many people be like, oh, I'm going to think about that, I'm going to come back, and then they don't buy it, and guess what sells to somebody else? So
that's true.
Don't get me wrong. I want you to spend your money first with me. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying in general, I've heard, a million times, oh, I spent all my money at this shyster's table and all I got was a bunch of crap and, whatever. So walk your first run, do a couple of rows quick, just see what's out there. And then you can kind of start talking about picking up some things.
Filter it out.
Yeah.
You got any more picks, Josh?
I think we do have some more pictures. I would like to say, while I'm bringing these pictures up, that one of my pieces of advice, at least for guys that aren't collecting German, because you'll see a lot of German and you'll see a lot of US. But if you're not collecting German, what you got to realize is you got to dig, because that shit's out there, but it's like buried in some guy's table in a Riker mount full of stuff that he doesn't care about. So if you're looking for Soviet stuff, if you're looking for all that sort of thing, like get out there and take a look around. Don't just settle with the one or two Soviet dealers that are very obvious or whatever you're looking for, because that stuff is still out there on other people's tables. So what else do we got here? We got this great picture of Tim.
Yeah, with the Panzerfaust.
Is that Panzer Shrek?
It's a Shrek.
Yeah.
Oh man, Shrek Faust. I get confused all the time.
God
That's
damn
a
it.
Dante's table too.
Yeah, that might be the one that I sent him a lead on and he was able to pick it up at the show. I can't remember.
Tim loves those things, man. He does.
But you're going to see shit at the show that you've never seen before, stuff that's really out there, wild. So it's a good time. Even if you're not coming to spend money, it's a great time to just show up, especially if you're a local. If you're a local and into history and you're not here, you're missing out big time.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, it's the cheapest museum visit to see the most stuff that you're ever going to find.
That's a great.
And you know what? The tables where this stuff is, 2/3 of them are run by nerds, and they're real excited to tell you all about whatever's on the table. So, we've done some some Dante pictures here. Billy, here was your table last year.
I just want to show the progression of your handlebar mustache and how much it has grown. Can you look at the camera a little closer, please? Ladies and gentlemen, look at the size of that, substantially larger.
Yeah, it goes out past my face now. It feels a little like excessive, but like I said, I'm dedicated to it. But yeah, Billy, come over and stop by Billy's table at the SOS. I'll be happy to talk to you in my cowboy shirt. If Billy's around, I'm sure he'll want to yap for a few minutes, but he's a very business oriented guy, so you got to catch him. You know what I'm saying?
Again, just excited to get there, and it's going to be a great show, hopefully, and come by and see us. And Dante's across the room, SMG, and we'll see you guys at the show. I think is where we're at.
Yeah,
sure, man.
Dude, it should be a great time. Very excited to see you guys. Very excited to go out to dinner and have our after show hijinks that we always get into.
Do you have any appropriate after show photos to share?
Oh man, I don't know. After show stuff usually gets a little bit racy, but
It's dicey.
I got a couple of pictures in here that are a little more favorable, just to give you an idea of our after show shenanigans.
It's just such a social event, I mean, it's not just about the show. It's we have our restaurants we're going to. It's a great time. We get to see everybody. So
yeah, you hang out with us, dude.
Going out for the beers.
You hang out with us, you end up in some dive bar playing pool. Here's what you're going to see when you look to your left. Dante and Billy taking a drink.
How much younger we were in our younger years.
Oh, last year?
Last
dude,
year,
feels like
yeah.
1,000 years ago. What else do we got here? I don't know. We got, this picture. I don't know if it's made it to the show before, but I'll tell the story one more time, dude. My friend Bill Panagopoulos here. We're standing downstairs in the lobby, just waiting around. This might have been right before the fire alarm went off last year.
Maybe.
And
we're trying to get out of there.
Dude, yeah. And Bill has just walked into the Crown B room right behind him in the picture to yell at a bunch of teenage MMA competitors and call them pussies.
Notice he has a drink in his hand, by the way.
Well, it's on brand, and that's probably what fueled the entire thing. And then he comes out into the hallway and starts shouting at us. And, hey, if you need a picture that sums up Bill, this is a good one. Here he is. Pointing at you in the middle of yelling, and his carer is behind him saying, come on.
Oh, is that funny?
Love Bill, dude. And then, hey, we got this one,
No, you cannot show that. You cannot
I'll censor it out a little bit. Don't worry. I'll drop a censor on it.
Can you at least comment on Mario's face?
We get, the hotel room hijinks. It's not all just buying swords. It's not all just a bunch of daggers laid out on beds. A lot of times it's alcohol.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, I can. Who would have thought?
All right. I'm excited to see you guys. I'm glad we could get together again and talk about some of the cool stuff that we've been seeing and encountering. The pink tunic, awesome. Very glad to see it. And happy for you that it's going to be published, man. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Militaria Podcast. We're going to come back with some new content after the SOS. Obviously, we'll all be together, so it'll be kind of fun. We can film stuff on the fly when we're actually hanging out. We're not in 3 different time zones. So to close out the show, again, I'm Josh Doda. I run Queen City Militaria, and I've been joined by my friends Dante Gambino of SMG War Relics.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for all the support.
And Billy Kramer of WehrmachtMilitaria.com.
Good night, everybody. I that was stupid. I should stop. I'm sorry. Sorry.
So people love it when you say good night. It's actually it's the only way to end the podcast. Can you give me one more hearty good night?
Yeah, good night, everybody. Thank you again. Sorry we had a little, lapse in putting an episode out for you guys. But again, we got the SOS coming up. We got a lot of cool things lined up and a lot of special guests. So it's just going to take some time, but we'll get there. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in and just enjoy your night. Good night.
Awesome. See you guys later.
Peace.